Hi everyone, this is a recording of the Office 2007 training that we've done over the past couple of weeks. This is just so if you were unable to attend the training, you'll be able to see what everyone's talking about and to give you some helpful hints to get you started with Office. So we're going to start in Outlook, and we'll also touch Word and PowerPoint and Office Communicator as well as Excel. So you'll get a full view of what's been going on in Office 2007. So if we start in Outlook, you'll notice that it looks very similar to how it looked before, except on the side here you may have this to-do bar minimized. And if you just click the arrows here, you'll be able to see that it takes information from what's in your calendar and populates these lists. So it gives you a month and then the next kind of 4 or 5 items on your calendar, as well as any items that you flagged for follow-up down here. So if you double-click one of these items, you can see the actual email instead of having to search through your email items to find it. It's all laid out right here. If you wanted to add something for follow-up on its own, you can just type it in here and it'll appear down at the bottom of the list, and you can of course change all the options in there as you could before. So that's the initial change when you log into Outlook for the first time. The other difference that you'll see is when you go into the calendar mode, and you see in here right away the difference is that I have 2 calendars open where I would not have been able to do this before. I can view by day both calendars, I can view by week or by month. And this is very handy if you're constantly booking boardrooms. You can see what's happening in one boardroom versus what's happening in your calendar, so you can book them that way. You can also drag and drop items across calendars. So if I wanted to take this item and put it in this calendar on the 20th, I can just drag and drop it in there. Now note that it won't tell you if there's a conflict in scheduling. You just have to check that manually. As well, if you update an item in your calendar, it will not update the calendar that you've dragged and dropped the item into. You have to go into both and change them there. Last thing to note about this is that if you have personal information in the calendar item, everyone will be able to see that if you've put it into a public folder. So if you want to keep things private, you might want to just book the meeting separately. So that's the new functionality there in the calendar view. If you want to know how to add calendars as favorites so that they appear here in the other calendars, it's very simple to do. You're just going to go down to the folder list and scroll your way down to public folders, and you'll see it's already maximized here. And you're actually going to want to go into all public folders and then find the boardroom or the public calendar that you want to add. So in my case, I'd add 23 Fraser since that's where I'm located. You're going to right click on it and select add to favorites. And then you'll click add after you've named it what you want. And then when you go back into this calendar view under other calendars, you'll see that it's in there. So I added that 23 Fraser small boardroom, so I can see it right there as I wish. So to select the calendar, you're just using this checkbox, and you can open many calendars at once, as many as you can handle seeing. So that's about all in the calendar view, but if we head back into the mail view and we take a document or an email with an attachment, you'll see that now there's a market analysis document right here, and if I click on that once, I can actually see that Word document right here in Excel. I don't need to go into Word to read it. So if you don't need to edit a document, you can actually just see the document right here. You don't need to go into Word anymore. This works with Excel files as well. If there's a spreadsheet that you wanted to see but didn't necessarily need to edit, you can single click on that attachment as well. JPEGs work this way, and Adobe PDF documents will work this way if you download a plugin. So the first time you get an Adobe PDF document, you can just single click on it and you'll get a little warning below there that says you need to download and add in, and that's no problem. You can just download it right from the Microsoft site, and that will let you read those. So that's a handy feature in there. If we actually double click on this market analysis document, we're going to go into Word. And by default, when you open a document this way, it takes you into a reading view, and you can just close that, and that'll take you into regular Word. So here we are in Word, and the first thing you'll notice is that there's this ribbon at the top, and this is consistent across Word, Excel, and PowerPoint, and it's the new interface. It replaces your file menus. What you now have are tabs, so these tabs across here, so insert, page layout, references, mailings, review, and view. And the trick with it is to think about what tab would your task logically be under. So if you can't find a task that you could previously do, take a second to think about which tab it might be under. The Home tab, as a note, in all the programs will carry your most frequently used items, so things like paste and the font and paragraph in Word, but there's table things when you're in Excel and PowerPoint items when you're in PowerPoint. So if you wanted to put in a picture, you would go to Insert, because you're inserting a picture into the document, and you'll see the picture right here. What you'll notice with all these tabs is that all the items are laid out there right in front of you. They're not hidden anymore under cryptic menus. They're really laid out there with nice pictures. And if you're confused about what something is, you can actually just run your mouse over it. And if you just leave it there for a second, you'll get a little blurb about what it is that item means. So for chart, it says insert a chart to illustrate and compare data. So if you were confused, there's a little blurb. If you wanted to spell check something, that is under the Review tab, because you're reviewing your document for any spelling errors. So you can see how they've tried to organize things in this way. So if we actually go into Insert a Picture, we just click on that picture button, and then we can select any picture we want. You'll notice up here at the top that now we have a Picture Tools tab where there wasn't one before. This gets added or taken away depending on if you have a picture in your actual document. So now all those commands that used to be hidden in that picture format file are now right here out in the open. So the text wrapping, all that stuff is here. And if you hover your mouse over any of these picture styles, it'll actually show you a preview of what that will look like. And this feature is called Live Preview. And this is in every Office program. It lets you see changes that you're considering making before you actually commit to them. So you can see what any border style will look like, and when you do like one, you just select it and it will commit the change. So now you've actually committed to doing the picture this way. But it's really nice to be able to see these changes before they actually happen. If we go back to the Home menu, I'll give you an example of another place that you can use that Live Preview option. So if I wanted to highlight this text and change the font, so I didn't necessarily like Times New Roman, I could go into the font area up here and just scroll my mouse down, and you'll see that the font actually changes as I'm scrolling my mouse over it. So I can see what each font will look like without committing to the change and having to go back and undo constantly. So when I like something, I'll click it and it will commit the change. Same thing with the size. So if I wanted to play around with what 20 looked like versus 26, or if I wanted to go back to 18, I can try all that out without committing. Bullets are up here, and again, you can use this little arrow beside there to see what any of these bullet styles will look like. It will only apply these changes to highlighted text, so you have to highlight the text to get it to show you in Live Preview mode. So once I've selected a bullet, that's it. You can also do things like bullets and changing the file or the font size with the right click button, but you don't get that Live Preview option from in there. So you do have to know what you're looking for if you use the right click. If you do make an error, the undo button is now up here, and by default you'll have save, undo, and redo up here. And the undo button you'll find